Hello there. There are some people born in this world with a sensitized nervous system. Some of them are naturally more intuitive than others. They feel others' emotions vividly, but silently. These really are their stories. Alison is looking to help her son form a bond with his father, but without rushing in as the rescuer. Now, as a sensitive, we often like to do that, don't we? We like to rescue. So the husband is a life code 7. Interesting. We've got another life code 5, life code 7 dynamic. And the son is a life code 3. Okay, mental block for a second. Okay, so we have a life code 7, a life code 5 and a life code 3. Now the interesting thing is that we're going to have touch into this life code 5 and life code 7 dynamic, but in a slightly different way, in that we've got one aware life code 5 and one unaware life code 7, and that has quite a strong implication as far as this relationship is concerned.
Welcome to the Sensitive Mind Show.
Your purpose in life as a sensitive is to experience the deeper parts of the mind, to move beyond fear and to manage your energy, no matter the circumstance. I'm going to show you, as a sensitive, how you can maximize your talents and feel comfortable in your own skin. For show notes and to join the conversation, visit heidisawyer.com/mind.
So, what has Alison told us about this relationship? So, my husband seems unable to form a connection with our son that is loving and stable. They are very different people, and sometimes it seems like our son can't be who my husband wants him to be. Our son suffers from severe anxiety and sometimes depression, which my husband appears to see as a weakness. So what's the problem the situation creates? I'm usually in the middle, trying to keep the peace and get them to understand each other. It's a great strain and sadness to me that we're a dysfunctional family. What is the question that Alison wants me to answer? Can I do anything to help bring them together without rushing to rescue, as most intuitive sensitive people do? Okay, so Alison wants to know how she can support her family in terms of forming a bond and changing that dynamic from dysfunctional to functional. Okay, so life code to life code, what have we got as far as this is concerned? Well, we have this life code 3, the sun. Now, generally, as a life code 3 anyway, life code 3s have a strong association with that sensitivity. They're also that female energy, okay? So there is this a strong line of female energy. They're exceptionally patient, and quite often won't say what they actually feel, so as not to upset or offend anyone, but they will hold it inside, which is clearly what's happening as far as this young lad is concerned. So what do we have that with this, a life code 3 with a life code 5? Well, it's going to be a dynamic which is at times highly supportive and at other times distancing, and that's going to be a constant kind of pull between the two. There will be a connection and distancing. Why? Because we've got a life code 5 parent, which is a life code 5 anyway. We have this strong warrior feel, so feeling that you have to head up something to be that, but actually a life code 5's big thing in life, their big mission in life, is to overcome their own sense of uncertainty in themselves. Okay, why? Because they reflect the spiritual will. Okay, so it's about finding that part and finding that component of the self. So at the same time, within that, if there is weakness in another, it will make a life code 5 slightly uncomfortable, and they will have a compulsion to try and rescue that person because of that warrior. But at the same time, they don't want it highlighted too much in case it brings something up within themselves. So a life code 7, in terms of this unaware life code 7, well, as we've looked at previously in life code 5 and life code 7 dynamics, if in two unaware scenarios, they will gang up on somebody else, on a third person, to deflect from their own stuff. Now, what we actually have in this scenario is an unaware 7 in terms of the husband and an aware 5 as far as the mother is concerned. Okay, so as far as Alison is concerned, she is an aware 5. So actually she's already doing a lot to deflect what could be a ganging up situation on this young man otherwise. Okay, and this young life code 3 would otherwise be a ganging up situation. Now, a life code 3, if they are ganged up on, they will go. Okay, they will run out of patience and they will go, and be the last you see of them. Because when a life code 3 has had enough, they've properly had enough. They really have had enough. So, in actual fact, as far as this relationship is concerned, Alison, being an aware person and working to be aware, is actually keeping this family from complete dysfunction. Because otherwise what would happen is, yes, the 5 and the 7 would gang up on that 3, making that young man's life a nightmare, because all of the perceived weakness would be then kind of thrown at him. Now, why is the husband doing this? Okay, why does the husband see that this young lad's anxiety and his depression is weakness? Well, you can see this quite clearly in the life codes. Unaware 7s are terrified, absolutely terrified of their own weakness in terms of their own possibility into emotional collapse, depression, all of that. So in actual fact, what the husband is saying is that he's terrified that he is that fragile. And actually, I would say the son is made of stronger substance, because the son at least owns his anxiety and owns his depression. Okay, that's that's not weakness, that's actually bravery. So actually, in the long term, Alison can be certain and comfortable in the idea that actually her son is made of stronger stuff than her husband is. And that will surface as time moves forward. Now, the thing to be careful of or concerned about as a possibility is that the son, in recovering himself, will eventually disown the father. Because a life code 3 sorted out, had enough, patience has run out, will see actually that kind of behaviour, rejection of their own feelings to that extent, is not an energy that person wishes to be around. So, I would say the place that we need to start at is, how can Alison be true to herself and more true to her interaction with her son than she currently is able to be, because the husband his behaviour is unkind, and I'm going to say unkind, towards his own son. And there is a closeness in understanding here, because a 3, a 5 and an 8 may not always get on, but they are going to have a closer kind of understanding of each other, because on this side, 3, 5s and 8s are all pausing energy. Okay, so it's a reflection before action. 7s, 7, 4s and 2s, sometimes it can come out before they've thought. Okay, so I suspect that the husband here says a lot of things before he's actually thought about it, but he's not big enough to say, to apologise or say that he's sorry. So the key thing here, I think, is that we have a look at Alison and see what she can access within herself to be true to her bond and connection with her son. Okay, which I feel is there. It feels like it's strongly there, because the encouragement would kind of almost to be to reject his weakness, or his perceived weakness. that's how the husband sees it. Okay, so let's have a look and see what comes out. Right, so I'm thinking of Alison. Oh. Okay. So we have the thief, okay? Now, this is interesting as far as Alison is concerned, because she definitely feels with that thief that something is being stolen, okay? And what we have here is there's a showing of the heart kind of thing here inside the character's coat. So what does it mean? It means that Alison does feel that something is being taken from her, that emotionally this dynamic between her son and her husband is really destroying her. It's really upsetting her. But at the same time, she's not fully communicating that. Okay? So the husband is getting away with it. This is really deeply upsetting her, and feeling that the core essence of her being a mother is being undermined by this man's behaviour. Okay, that's what this thief would mean as far as that's concerned. So let's have a look and see really, what is this man up to? Why is he doing this? Why is he directing this like this towards his son? And maybe even have a look at what would stop him from doing that. So let's have a look and see what we have that comes up. Okay, we have the Queen. Interesting. He's doing it as punishment because he likes to be the centre of attention and feels that he's not. So he does this the most when he feels that he's not the centre of attention, and so therefore he's mean in order to bring him forward to being the centre of attention, either positive or negative. Now that suggests that he has the husband has some kind of issue from his own past, either with a sibling or with a parent, where he felt rejected enough to then feel that he's validated in rejecting his own child. Okay, and that's where that comes from. That's really quite clear. I'm going to say it's that clear. So what's going to happen as far as the son is concerned? Let's have a look and see how the son is around all of this. Okay, so we have the king here, and I think, as I said, he's stronger than we actually think, but I think also not that he manipulates it, but I would say that there is a power dynamic, because we've got the king and the queen going on here between father and son. Power dynamic as in who's going to get Alison's attention in a stronger way. It's a fight over who does she love the most. And sometimes we see this, sometimes you do see this, and being asked almost to choose between who do you love the most. And that's deeply painful as far as Alison is concerned. So how can Alison surface that? Well, she probably needs to look into her own past, because definitely her husband's got some things going on here. But I would say in terms of her own past, where she felt in the middle, and I would say probably between her own parent dynamic, or maybe a sibling and a parent, in order to surface that pain as far as that's concerned. So let's have a look, because I think we need to give something a little extra on top of this thief to see how can Alison resolve or begin to resolve personally within her own world this painful split and seeking of her attention between this power play between these two individuals, the two men in her life that she loves the most. See her son and her husband. Okay, so let's have a look. Interesting. So we have the prostitute again. This is interesting. Why have you got the prostitute? This is be about where she was taught in life to sell her energy to the highest bidder. Okay, so Alison needs to look into her own past and see, and that's a strong question: is which parent, which person that she loved, them, which core part of her family in terms of her foundational experience did she feel that she had to sell out to the highest bidder? If she finds that and finds the emotional pain behind that, which is this thief, then this power play between her son and her husband will deteriorate, as in they won't be able to hold that power play between the two, because Alison will suddenly spark up that warrior and say, for crying out loud, you pack it in and you pack it in. And you be decent to him and he be decent to you. And let's find out what the core is of this anxiety and depression, and let's solve that through this level of communication. And you, husband, stop punishing our son, because he is still our son. And if you have an issue with your own owning of your own emotions, that's your deal. Right at this moment, if you were to say to Alison, say that, and it flushes it all out, she wouldn't be able to. She'd suddenly panic. So in order to find that, it is about finding deep down from her own past, and it will be parent, because it will be about authority. Which parent did she have to sell out to please the other? And that is that feeling of what's been taken from her that was heartbreaking back then. If she can move that out of her own body from where it's being stored, she will suddenly find that warrior be a lot more expressive as far as this dynamic is concerned, where she is not rescuer and certainly not the peacemaker. Then it will be about owning that truth. And sometimes in life that's what it's about. Sometimes it's about finding a core issue behind something that is the key to spring us free from what feels like a trap in that present moment. So that's the end of this episode of the Sensitive Mind Show. If you've enjoyed it and found it helpful, do share it with your friends. So to be sure to join me next week, where I will be looking forward to giving you an alternative perspective on your relationship dilemmas. Bye for now, and let me leave you with this. For more great free content designed to support your purchase of my book, Highly Intuitive People, 7 Right Brain Traits to Change the Lives of Intuitive Sensitive People, please visit finallyfeelunderstood.com. There you can subscribe and download for free the meditation specific to today's episode. If you have already read the book, then it's time for you to receive exclusive access and support from me and your fellow intuitive sensitives as we go deeper together along this proven 7-step path by joining us in my monthly membership program called Heidi's Circle. There you can ask me anything in a safe and private environment, and I will answer you live. Join us today by visiting healmyinnerworld.com.